Tim Sebastian, founder and chairman of the New Arab Debates, former BBC interviewer and correspondent, and a TV journalist. Not to forget that he was the first presenter of the BBC's Hard Talk. Tim Sebastian, welcome on Mosaique FM. The first debate in Tunisia was 3 days before the election of the National Constituent Assembly, and the second is today. Could you present and explain more the concept of the New Arab Debates to our listeners, the vision and the goals?
Well, our object is to get as many, especially young people, involved in the political process, discussion of key political topics, at a time when politics is so important in this country. You've got through a revolution, you've got through your first free elections very quickly. Now you're facing an avalanche promises from different politicians, different parties, telling you they're going to do this for you and that for you, and they're going to make life great, and they're going to cure all your problems. I want to provide a platform for people where they can actually put questions, put the real questions that matters, and insist on getting answers from the politicians. Don't just accept at face value what they say. Really test those promises.
In one of your interviews, you said it clearly that politicians do lie, and it's not a new thing. And it's up to a good citizen and to clever journalists to find it out.
Well, I think as a journalist, you've got to be one of the watchdogs of society. You've got to keep them honest. You've got to be constantly asking the questions. Why did you do this? Why did you change your mind? Why didn't you give us what you promised to deliver? In any society, it's a battle to keep governments honest and accountable to their people. And what we have in debates is people made accountable. They're closely questioned, they're forcefully questioned by people. I hope it's always polite, the questioning, but at the same time it needs to be firm. And in order to exercise your democratic rights, you have to keep on asking the vital questions that matter, and again, insisting on getting answers.
Today is the 22nd November 2011. Tunisia and the whole world is witnessing the first session of the National Constituent Assembly. How do you see the first step of democracy, having various political parties and a strong opposition?
Well, I think you've already taken the first steps in democracy. You had very successful, fair, free elections. You've got your Constituent Assembly now. It's going to sit for a year and draft a new constitution. You have a government designate, an interim government that will also sit for a year, and you'll have fresh elections in a year's time. And you'll look at the performance of your new politicians and decide whether you like it or you don't. And I think it's a very healthy process. People know that, Nakhta got the largest share of the vote at the recent elections. How well will they do in a year? It very much depends on what their performance is like, whether they deliver what they promised, whether people see them living up to their pledges, also whether the opposition starts to perform perhaps more effectively than it has done in the past. These are big issues, these are big questions.
We have a new chief of government, Hamadi Jbeli, a president for the National Assembly, Ben Jafar, and the new president of the Tunisian Republic, El Marzouki, a former president of the Human Rights Association in Tunisia. What do you know about the new leaders of Tunisia, and how do you evaluate the background of the three of them?
That's far too detailed a question for me. I think the important thing about the new people is that you do have new people, that you have swept away the old leaders, that you give new people a chance, new parties a chance, and in a year's time you will evaluate their performance and see how they've done. Most people don't know how these people are going to solve the real issues that need to be dealt with in society: unemployment, strike, better working conditions, things that the people will have to get to grips with very quickly.
Debating is an essential exercise in democracy. Today, you invited young students from several fields and studies to discuss the revolution consequences, to share their feedbacks, and most of all, to propose a new idea. They were talking about ambition and dreams and hopes. Is it too close to reality?
Look, it takes a long time to realize your dreams, and this is going to be a long process of political development. It's very difficult to shake off the old attitudes of the past and to stop worrying about whether it matters if you say the wrong thing in public and what people are going to think of you. And I think I admire greatly the way Tunisia has moved in the last 10 months since the revolution to already get behind it so many political milestones and to do it in relative peace and stability. I think people are excited at the future in this country. I think a lot of people are optimistic optimistic. A lot of people think that they have a bright...
The motion of the second Arab debate in Tunisia was Tunisian Islamists have won a dangerously large majority in the recent elections. And the first one, 3 days before the historical election in Tunisia, and the discussion was focused whether or not Tunisians should fear a possible victory of Islamists in the election. Your forum's topic are effectively anticipating the future.
I don't know whether we are or not. I think we chose the controversial subject about the rise of the Islamist parties in Tunisia. It's our duty to confront the controversial issues, I think. It's something that, as we've seen in both debates now, people really want to talk about. They have strong, passionate views. But I think some people changed their minds during the course of the debate, which is interesting. We took a vote before and after this time.
And the result was?
And the result was that the motion passed, that there are still fears about, and people still think there are dangers in this large Islamist victory. But at the same time, fewer people thought that at the end of the debate than at the beginning. So some opinions did shift during the course of the hour and a half in which we were discussing. Look, I think these debates are important. I think it's a chance for people to actually sometimes listen to ideas that they don't really like, but listen to them in some detail. And if you change your mind, that's great. If you don't, at least you've heard the other side. And I think that's very important in a democracy.
And for the people who are too arrogant to change their minds?
I don't think it's necessarily too arrogant to change their minds. I think sometimes what you hear confirms your belief. We're not looking for everybody to come out rejuvenated or with a changed mind or changed approach, but at least you listen to the other side and you make up your mind on the basis of what you've heard. Not because people tell you outside, but you listen for yourself and participate. Ask questions. Get involved. This is what a democracy is about. It's not like a football game when you sit in the stands and watch life played out in front of you. You get down on the field and play. Okay, this is our field of play. This is political discussion. This is addressing the key issues in society and coming up, hopefully, with some new ideas.
Concerning asking a question and going directly to the field, an overview about the situation in North Africa, Tunisia, Egypt and Libya. 3 different revolutions and 3 different stories to tell. How do you see the new big picture in the 3 countries?
As you say, the circumstances are all different in the various countries. Tunisia can congratulate itself that it hasn't seen the kind of violence that's has taken place in Libya and is now taking place again in Egypt, for instance. But they don't need advice from outside. They need some unity inside the country and some consensus on how they go forward. But these are very, very difficult, very complex problems. It's going to take a long time to resolve.
Tim Sebastian, your career as a journalist started in 1974 as a TV journalist who traveled the world and won several awards. How do you see the Tunisian media performance?
I don't speak Arabic, so it would be unfair to comment on the Tunisian media. But I think a lot of Tunisian journalists ask me what their role is today, and I come back to this, that it's really to hold the government to account, keep asking the difficult questions, keep asking the tough questions, not to get too close to politicians, not to get too friendly with politicians, but to realize that you walk on the other side of the street and you ask questions on behalf of the public. It's a big responsibility. Ask questions on behalf of the public that really needs to know these things, really need to have the answers. What are you going to do? Why are you promising me this? Why did you promise something in the past that you didn't deliver? What have you done with the money? What about justice? Why are you trying to influence the courts? These kinds of questions come up in democracies, come up in all societies all over the world. But they only come up because journalists are asking them on behalf of the people, ordinary people who cannot ask those questions for themselves. It's a very solemn responsibility. It's a big responsibility.
Finally, Chairman, if you have any feedback to share with Mosaique FM listeners, feel free.
No, I just wish you luck and congratulate you on what you've done so far. The world has watched what's happened in Tunisia over the last year with first amazement, disbelief, and now I think with tremendous satisfaction, tremendous pleasure to see democracy moving ahead in a region that didn't have any before. So I think I'd just like to wish people luck and with all things and hope that they get the kind of society they want, the improvements they want in it.
Thank you very much, Tim Sebastian.
Thank you.